When I tell people I'm an emotional processing yoga coach, that's like, what is that?
Very excited to introduce the owner and founder of Honeybee Yoga, Mariah Hatch, and my younger sibling.
Yep. Didn't understand at the time that I was really absorbing other people's emotions, which is what a definition of an empath is. I work with empaths. That's kind of like my focus.
I was having a really, really bad day, and I was talking to Mom. I'm going to have your sister call you.
Yeah.
And you called me, and I was a mess. I was a non-believer in yoga for years. And you went through this exercise with me. It's something with the breath work, the stretching, the moving of the body. Like it allows you to feel it, just kind of let it go.
Emotions are energy. So if you have a lot of pent-up anger, breathing's not going to get that out.
To find a healthy outlet for that anger. Anger's not a bad thing either, right?
Right. I think anger can have a lot of benefits.
So what would you say to parents that have sensitive children?
I love that question so much. If you think your child's being sensitive, then it's because you're not understanding them. I used to be a middle school teacher. I'd always tell my students, you can feel whatever you want. You can't act however you want.
We don't want to feel it. Just push it away.
Yeah.
Push it down, right?
Yeah, and I would say what we resist persists. What we feel, we heal.
I'm remembering who I
this
really am.
Yeah, which is so empowering. It's
just
like,
to be unapologetically yourself. Like I've always tried to be like, oh, I don't know why I'm like this. Try to do this. I'm like, I don't care. Welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan, morning edition. We're still waking up over here. Very excited to introduce the owner and founder of Honeybee Yoga, Mariah Hatch, and my younger sibling.
Yep, by 10 years.
By 10 years. Just turned 30, right?
I did.
Congrats.
Yep. Thank you.
And had a new baby.
Out of it.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited. I know this has been a long time coming. First of all, you came all the way from Baltimore. So welcome back to Arizona.
Thank you. It's good to be home. I love Arizona so much.
Today, we're going to chat a little bit about emotional processing, which is kind of the main part of your yoga focus, right? So definitely. I'm going to let you just explain what that is.
Yeah, I know.
How it's helpful.
When I tell people I'm an emotional processing yoga coach, that's like, what is that? Emotional processing is, I do it through somatic movement, which is how the yoga piece comes in. I myself am a very sensitive empath, which my older brother can attest to as a very sensitive, emotional child.
Big time.
And didn't really know what that meant. I think as a kid, I was always just like trying to get people to understand what I was feeling.
Right.
Because people are just like, oh, you're so sensitive. I'm like, if you could feel what I was feeling, I don't think you'd say that.
Yeah.
It was just really overwhelming for me. So when I was in college, actually, I worked as a skills trainer for teenagers in dialectical behavioral therapy, which is really where I learned about emotions. It was so helpful to me that it really sparked my interest in psychology, which is where I kind of started learning about emotion regulation, distress tolerance, mindfulness, all those kind of like buzzwords that are really popular now. Just for my own mental health, started doing a lot of yoga.
Yeah.
And I was in a yoga class. It was like a trauma-informed yoga class.
Oh, wow. Was this, where was this at?
This was in Utah when I was going to school.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so they had free trauma-informed yoga classes every Sunday at the studio that I was part of.
That's cool.
Yeah, super cool. So again, I didn't really know what that meant. I just was like, oh, free yoga class.
Free yoga.
And it was at this time, I was just like, I was an anxious mess. Didn't understand at the time that I was really absorbing other people's emotions, which is what a definition of an empath is. I work with empaths. That's kind of like my focus. So yeah, empaths, they just not only feel your own emotions deeply, but they can like feel the energies of others and they get stored in your body, which again, I did not know at the time. But that's what was happening, especially working with I was working with teenagers that were suicidal and had really intense emotional issues. And so just absorbing that in my body and just constantly just overwhelmed, on the verge of tears, on the verge of anxiety attack all the time. So I go to this trauma-informed yoga class and I hit this pose and I just wept.
Wow.
But it wasn't crying when something happens. It was just like a very visceral, something in my body unlocked.
Yeah.
And I could just feel the emotions pouring out of me, physically.
You're able to let it go through the tears, basically.
Not only through the tears, but through my body. It's almost like I could visualize what each emotion was. And I think it was in that moment that I realized that whoa, these emotions aren't even mine. They're just other people's. And it literally felt like a river just flowing out of me. And at the time, I just totally chalked it up to a spiritual experience. I had no idea this is a real thing that happens with somatic movement. a crazy experience.
And there's a lot of science behind it. You know me, like
Exactly.
I'm not an emotional person, at least growing up, that probably the brother you grew up with, very, just straight to the point, get it done. But, recent experiences, recent trauma for me have, I've felt a lot of this. And again, it's different with empaths because, again, you feel other people's.
Yeah.
I was having my own emotions, my own trauma,
Right.
and I, wasn't exactly sure how to process it. And I remember when I was having a really, really bad day, and I was talking to Mom, and she's like, I'm going to have your sister call you.
Yeah.
And you called me, and I was a mess, right? Like I was like, I'm a pretty grounded individual for most of the time, but this recent trauma and my experience that happened to me just rocked my world, and I couldn't calm down. And you went through this exercise with me, and I couldn't explain it at the time. I've been reading a lot more about it now, but it is that it's something with the breath work, the stretching, the moving of the body. Like it allows you to feel it and then just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
So talk more about that.
Yeah, I'll explain. Because again, like at the time when that happened to me, I was just like, whoa, what was that? And I remember the yoga teacher came up to me afterwards, and I could tell that she knew what happened. So I'm like, okay, clearly there's something to this. And so it's kind of a long process of me learning. But yeah, so really just like kind of a basic overview is emotions. Like we talk about emotions all the time, but it's like, what really are emotions?
Yeah.
Well, emotions is energy that are created from your thoughts. And so when you have a thought, we have an average of 60,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
And most of them are subconscious.
Right.
And so that's why a lot of times it's like, we say like, oh, I don't know why I'm feeling this, or it doesn't make sense that I'm feeling this. Well, it's because you're having a thought that you're probably not aware of. And so when you have that thought, it's creating that energy. And so the energy is then getting stored in the body. And so what a lot of people think is, if I can just figure out what's going on in my head, then I'll be able to not feel sad, or I won't be stressed, or I won't be anxious.
Yeah, I'll just push it away, right? Like get rid of this emotion. And that's
because they think it's the thought.
Right.
If I fix my thoughts, then I won't feel.
Yeah, and that's not the case.
No, because even if you do fix the thoughts, the subconscious thoughts that are constantly being generated are creating the energy. And the energy is in the body.
Right.
And so if you're not managing it in the body, you're never going to process it.
It's gonna stay in there, and it can build up in a negative way, right? Like in a way where it takes over you. And is that what causes like anxiety attacks, or that's a big part of it?
It's unprocessed emotions.
Emotions.
Different emotions will store in different parts of the body.
Okay.
And it's different person to person, but like, there's kind of a general overview. Like, and you can even, to everyone watching this, you can think, oh, like I store a lot of tension in my neck. If you store a lot of tension in your neck, it's probably unprocessed fear. And that's a big one for me. I have OCD, and I have a lot of I have a lot of worry and fear. And so it's a lot in my neck. If you have like a lot of grief, that's going to be in the upper back. If you have a lot of shame or like feelings of powerlessness, that's the mid back. And so there's kind of places, and it's like, that's why I love yoga, the mind-body connection, because you can do somatic therapy without like doing full yoga.
Right.
But I love the Eastern aspect of like the yoga philosophy. Yoga is all about mind-body connection.
Yes.
And so a lot of people will be like, oh, well, yeah, I have tight shoulders, but that's because I do XYZ for my job. It's like, yes, but it's probably also associated with like whatever, a parent, or you have like a lot of stress and you're carrying and juggling a lot. That tension is going to be in your shoulders. Like it's all connected to the body. And so that's why it's like, okay, yeah, you can go to talk therapy, and like, I'm not talking bad about talk therapy. You can go to talk therapy all day, but unless you're getting into the body, it's not going to move.
You're not going to be able to process it the correct way.
Which is what happened to me in that yoga class, right? For women, this is really interesting. Women tend to store a lot in their hips.
Okay.
I kind of explain the hips as like a bowl. Like even if you're processing and doing the stuff, it kind of just like lands.
It settles
in the hips.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I was doing a hip opener, and it was just like flood, and it just like poured out. And
just
so
brought you to tears, like just
so it was just like
in a healing, just like wow,
like a let go way. Yeah. It was like I could see, and I could almost see as an empath.
You never felt anything like that until that session.
Never.
It was just like whoa.
Yeah, and it was almost like I could see my clients too, like the teenagers that I work with. I'm like, oh, that belongs to them. That belongs to them. That belongs to them. Like it was all just like, Well, and at that point, I didn't even know what an empath
Sure.
was. I remember learning from a coworker, like, oh yeah, these, this job can be really taxing on an empath. And I was like, what is an empath?
Yeah.
And I read like the first page of a book about empaths and just like wept. And I gave it to every single important person in my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, read this. This is why I am the way that I am.
No, but
It's a real thing.
and that's why, we do this. That's why I love to share these fun messages, right? Because again, I'm 40, you're 30. There's so many people, and especially nowadays, right? Like, we have all these emotions, and with social media and the way we can converse with people, there's a lot of solitude, right? Like individuals kind of just get stuck in their head and they don't talk about it, or they don't research it, and they just think something's wrong with them. And, mental health is such an important thing. And that's been kind of the theme of my podcast these last few times. But it is super important, because if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what you're feeling, like you said, you don't know how to move forward. And there's a lot of science behind that, as far as like, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have something that you're going towards, your mind is going to immediately go towards nothing. And then you're going to essentially self-sabotage all the time with your subconscious thoughts.
Yes. And it's interesting you said like stuck in your head is one phrase you said, or like you don't know what to do. Our sweet little brain is so primal. It's like the most primal part of us, and it really has three goals. It wants to seek pleasure, it wants to avoid discomfort, and it wants to find the easiest path to do something. And so a lot of times those three things are not going to be the best. And it's constantly looking for a way to solve, to fix, to do. And that's actually the reason my business is called Honey Bee Yoga. It's bee with one E. Is because a lot of times when we're having these emotions that are stored, our brain is constantly going to say, okay, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And really, like, the answer that I've learned through my experiences is like, actually, you don't need to do anything. You need to be. You need to take a breath, and you need to get into the body, because the body is where you're going to be able to heal.
Agreed. No,
you could look for answers all day, but again, it's like, and you can almost feel, if you like sit and just, if you're more aware of your mind and your body, and you think about like that headspace or getting stuck in the head, it's like very up here. And it's like, and there's like this, that brings all the tension in the body up, because you're just like, okay, solve. And when you can just kind of drop into the body, then it's like, oh, we actually don't need to solve anything. We actually don't need to change anything. The circumstances, more often than not, we don't have any control over.
Correct.
And so we just have to be like, okay, where is this energy being stored in my body? What does it feel like? How can I be more aware of it? And then how can I truly let myself feel it, rather than trying to pull away from it? And that's what the head does. Let's get out of the body.
We don't want to feel it. Just push it away. Push it down, right?
Yeah. And I would say what we resist persists. What we feel, we heal. And so if we can just, okay, I'm feeling, my heart is racing, my shoulders are tight, I'm holding a lot of tension in my thighs. If you can just notice that and then say, okay, that's fine. That's not going to kill me.
Right. You're gonna die.
My shoulders, it's not going to kill me. I just let myself feel it. More often than not, it's just going to release.
Sometimes just sitting, and that was it, right? Like all of us are very go, right? Like I don't know how to sit still. I'm constantly just doing things, and I have a million things that I still need to do. And sometimes that just catches up with me, and I get in my own head. And I think a lot of people get that way too, especially the fast paced world we live in.
Totally.
It's like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to, like, it's just go. And when you get stuck like that, it just kind of takes over, and you feel the weight of all of it. You just feel terrible. But I remember when I just, focused on the breath work, did the stretches, and you were just guiding me through it. Like, and I'll never forget at the very end of the session, because I think it was it wasn't even that long, maybe 20.
It was like 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes.
Yes.
But it felt like an hour. Like for me, I was like, we've been sitting here for an hour.
Because we're not used to being still for that long.
Because I'm just, constantly going. And at the end, you're like, do you feel better? And I'm like, yeah. But you're like,
I didn't even ask. You're like, okay, I feel better.
That was it.
Go.
You're like, but nothing's changed.
Yeah.
You're like, you still have to do all of this. You still have all your problems, all of the issues that 20 minutes ago are still here. Why, so, but why do I feel better?
Yeah.
And it was going through that exercise. And like you said, there is a physical, actual release. Mm-hmm. And it's that looking inward sometimes. Like I feel like as humans, we're always looking externally. We're looking outward, like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to do this. But if you just take that minute and sit, and it's funny because, I used to make fun of this stuff all the time. Like, yoga doesn't work, just lift weights. I always thought it was just an exercise thing, right? But it's for you and the way you've taught it to me, it's so much more than that. It's that connection of mind, body, spirit. Like it's the actual energy of everything that's happening. It allows you to kind of recenter. And I do remember that, like it just felt kind of bright in this little part, like just the chakra, all that stuff, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a million words, but at the end of the day, it's about just accepting who you are, knowing that you are enough, and you're doing the best you can.
Yes.
And if you can believe that, because I think most people are, and that's the other part, not even just for us, but I think most people are trying to do the best that they can for themselves. I totally agree. And we just don't always know what to do.
Yeah.
And so this is what's so helpful for that, because this was something that literally anyone can do. It takes, like you said, 20 minutes was our session. They can be shorter, they can be longer. But if you can just find a way to look inward, feel all of it,
experience
not try to understand it.
Exactly. That's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I get it now.
Right.
And this is the reason.
Feeling this because of this.
It's like no, it doesn't actually matter. Right. And like you said, it's like and that's where the inner peace comes from. My whole thing with my business is I help people connect to their inner peace. You hear people say a lot, I need to find peace. I need to find peace. It's like, no, the peace is there. Like you said, in 20 minutes, nothing about your life is changed.
It's still the same.
But your soul is innately good. Your inner light exists. And so if you can drop into that, release the emotions that are in the way, because that's the thing, our soul exists in a mind and a body that will be imperfect forever in this life. It's not ever going to be, my mind is healthy, my body's healthy, done, check.
We're always going to have issues, right?
We're always going to have issues. We're always going to have life circumstances. And so that's the thing. It's like, when we can drop into that light, like you said, that piece of us that's like, then what's so amazing about that is it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You can find peace amidst chaos.
Yeah.
And that's the power of it. It's realizing like, oh yeah, my soul is good. I am enough. Yeah. And there is always going to be peace in that space when we can really let ourselves exist in it, which is hard. Sometimes it's painful. A lot of times people say like, oh, sometimes like the present moment sucks. It's like, yeah. It does.
And that's okay, right?
It's okay.
Like, this sucks, but
it.
I'm not dead. We're going to keep moving forward. So
it's a light. There's a light that exists because our soul is so whole.
Right.
Another thing I think that is like an error of thinking is people say especially when they go through traumatic events, like my soul my soul needs to be healed, or my soul is broken. And that's actually not true. Right. Your soul is never broken.
Your soul's perfect.
Your body will probably have issues. Your mind, your heart can get hurt.
Right.
But your soul is okay. Yeah. And if we can know how to access that, then we're always going to have access to peace, which doesn't that just like...
Well, and it takes practice, right? Like that's the other thing. Like it's not just you do one session and you're good.
Right.
It's something you have to constantly work on. And there's lots of different ways to do this. And it's fascinating for me because, after that first session, I love, me, I love to educate myself and learn and read. And so I started reading this book called Psycho-Cybernetics, and it was written in the early 1900s by this plastic surgeon who changed people's faces. And he started studying different things based on, he would fix someone's face or fix a cleft palate or something.
Yeah.
And for certain individuals, he would notice a complete change in their life. Like they would just completely swap. And then others would stay the same. And so he started studying like, what is the difference? And that's what he talks about. So he talks about it as like a mechanism, right? Like our soul, we're just operating this body.
Yes.
Our soul is just like this little,
eternal.
And I like to think of it as like an inner child, right? You think about, you're a new mother, you've got a 6-month-old beautiful baby girl. I love my niece. They're perfect, right? Like they're little souls. You can see her eyes, you can see her moving around, you can see her trying to figure it all out, but her body doesn't work the way
it's
that she
new.
wants. It's
a new
new.
body.
It's a new body.
Yeah.
And so us, we've had, I've got 40 years on this planet practicing with my body, but I never really tapped into that inner child or that soul part of myself the way that yoga has helped me.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a personal story, but I think it might be helpful for somebody. But for the longest time I can remember, I just never felt good enough, right? Like that voice in my head has always been like, not good enough, man. You could have done better. You could have done better. And that's just part of my, perfectionism. And you can throw a million excuses out there. I'm sure other people, understand that. Like,
I feel the same.
I'm not good enough. No matter what I do, I'm going to try. I'm trying really hard. I know I'm a good person, but it's not quite good enough. And I remember doing these sessions on my own and doing the yoga and just sitting and closing my eyes and trying to feel all of it. And that was again, at 40 years, that voice was finally louder that said, you are good enough.
Yeah.
You are enough. You're doing the best you can, dude. Like, give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
But it takes practice.
Well,
you have to just stick with it.
That story, Braden, what really hit me about it is that when you finally felt I'm enough, it's because you let yourself sit in the hurt.
I did. I let myself in, and I cried, man.
Yes. And I think that's so important to realize is like, it's actually when we let ourselves really sit in our vulnerabilities and our heartbreak and our trauma, where we have that voice that can come up and say, it actually has nothing to do with what you do,
right,
and everything to do with you are enough. It doesn't, like, and you can't earn it, you can't change it. You could screw up, you can make the biggest mistakes in the world or be the best human in the world, and neither one of those will change the value of who you really are. Right. You really have to be connected to your soul, though, to be able to feel that. And being connected to your soul, the way to do that is to let yourself process your emotions.
Process it. And there's lots of ways to do it. But again, the moving of the body, that makes so much sense for me. Like, just because, again, I'm a mover anyway. Like, sitting still, like, I've tried meditation, the sitting still type of way, and sometimes that works. Yeah. But for me, moving and allowing myself to feel it, I feel like it gets things move. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, stuff starts to move inside, and I can feel it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And identify, those feelings, and just be like, I'm feeling this. And I constantly go like, why am I feeling this? That's always my first thought. But then I'm like, doesn't matter why I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So just feel it, buddy.
Just let it be there.
And if you can do that, as much as it makes no sense, like, coming from an intellectual person, it makes no sense, but it works.
Yeah. Like, and it's the movement. So, and I'll kind of walk through like what I typically do. And I do, like you said, it's not like a lot of people will be like, oh, I need to process this emotion. Can I do a session with you? Yeah. I do 6 months with people. Okay. When I take people on as a client, it's like, this is going to be a 6-month process. Wow. We meet for an hour every week. Okay. And the process is, we kind of do an emotion check-in. Okay. So I say, like, what's your week been like? What have you been feeling? What's been coming up? And that's where people can kind of talk it out. And then, I'll help people say, okay, well, what emotion did that make you feel? Like, if you think about that experience, what were you feeling? And then where did you feel it in your body?
Yes.
And then based on what we talk about, we'll just do a session I'll kind of curate a meditation for them to help them feel it in their body. And then we move to the asana, or the yoga poses, to help it move through. But sometimes, like you said, like being a mover, and sometimes when the emotion is high anxiety, high stress, sometimes we have to be like, okay, let's move our body first. Yes. And then, because the body can kind of create that clarity in the mind, because then we can do like a meditation to really like process. And sometimes it is like, we don't, I'll check in with people after the meditations. And sometimes it really is just, I didn't have any thoughts. It was just still. I was grounded. That's good. Sometimes it's insight. Oh, I had this realization. But not from this is why, or this is what it is. More of a like, almost like a divine, like, this is the insight that I received.
That's so cool.
And so that's what I love about the meditation. You can either kind of, I always do like palm down for grounding, or palm up to like receive. And it can be just whatever you need. That's so cool. It's not a sit down and work it out situation. It's
not an equation.
You just have to let it be.
Do you feel, as an empath, is it does that help you with like your clients? Because you can kind of connect with them because
Yeah.
you understand what they're feeling more than most as an
Yeah.
empath person. So
No.
so everything is really curated to the individual with like your
Mhm.
services. Like you really can tap
Yeah.
into that person, ask the right questions because you can feel it too.
I can feel, and it's actually, I would say like that is why I do what I do. It's like I just used how to make my empathness a skill
Yeah.
rather than a hindrance. It used to be
Did you
really,
used to hate it? Hate being,
I
like,
hated it.
hated having to feel
I
everyone
hate
else's
it.
stuff.
Especially because for a long time I didn't have the word for it. And so what I used to say to people is, well, I feel a lot of empathy for people. And people would always be like, that's great. And I'm like, no, I don't think you, like, it's painful. Like
Yeah.
I hated going to grocery stores or crowds because I could just feel it. And I knew it wasn't mine and it felt heavy and it felt yucky. And I would get panicky whenever I was in crowds of people and I hated it. And then when I learned to process it, and I had to be very intentional, like now I kind of have enough skills that I can just kind of take it, let it go, take it, let it go. It feels
Right.
pretty natural. But for a long time, like even working with clients, I'd really have to like do my own session after my sessions to let it go. But
Because you took on so much.
I took on so much. But it is really cool that now that I understand it, like it is part of like and it kind of freaks people out at sometimes because I will work with people I've never met in my life. And I'm like, okay, so if, and I never try and like tell them what it is because I'm not 100% right. But I'll be like, okay, so if you're feeling tension in your neck and they're like, how did you know I was holding tension in my neck? It's like, because I can feel
You
it.
can feel it.
I can feel when I'm with someone,
Like there's a
my body will tense up
physical
and I'm like,
connection.
oh, you're holding this, so you need to relax that. And they're like, how did you know I was holding tension there? Or I'm like, oh, if this is causing a little bit anxiety, like a little bubbling, and I can usually like pinpoint what people are feeling
So cool.
because I feel it.
Because you've done it yourself, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like
well, and I
you've had
just
to go through these things and figure it out kind of on your own. And so, like, it's just sometimes when you have that added person to show you how to do it, that just
yeah,
you're able to figure it out a little bit faster.
exactly. And that's the benefit of having an emotion processing coach is it's doing it quicker because I can kind of guide you through it and help you release it. Because I had to learn the hard way and it was not an easy process. And there's been different experiences in my life where it's been harder. Like I thought I had it figured out and then I'll have like a big trauma happen. Like I don't know how much I've talked to you about this, but I lost one of my best friends to suicide a year after I was married.
I know briefly. I don't know the full story.
Yeah, and that really triggered my like mental health like more than I would have thought.
Well, sure.
It was kind of wild. And so it's just like another thing like that. It's like, oh, I have to figure out how to do this again. And even being a new mom, like more hormones, like sleep deprivation. It's like, okay, I gotta be more intentional about this again.
Life is hard, right? Like we're all going through stuff. We've all got our own battles, and again, you as an empath can really feel it with everyone around you, and so it's how to how you kind of learn that. I want to shift gears just for a moment. This just popped in my head. So I think about communication and understanding others, and especially me as kind of more intellectual, kind of like I'm sure I was not very nice as an older brother when you were overly emotional, like, oh, get over it.
Stop being so sensitive.
Don't be so sensitive. So what would you say to parents that have sensitive children?
I love that question so much because it really and I seriously I don't have a lot of trauma from my childhood because we have great parents. We really do. I mean, there's little things, of course. Sure. Nobody gets through unscathed.
Correct.
But that was a really damaging thing for me to be told you're too sensitive.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm just like,
I don't think there's something wrong with you.
I really felt like I was trying to get people to understand what I was feeling. I just felt like if people felt what I'm feeling, I don't think they would say that. I also hate when people call people dramatic because I'm like, I think when people are calling someone dramatic, it's only because they're not able to understand the depth that the other person is feeling. Like that person's not being dramatic. They're responding to the way that they feel. And just because you can't understand it, you're just You just don't understand how deep they're feeling.
You just feel a little bit differently than the way they feel, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make it wrong or bad
Right.
or overly sensitive. It's just they feel it more. In fact, I think that's kind of a superpower. Like,
it is.
You used to look at it as this negative thing, and it's like, look what you're able to do with it now that you understand it.
Yeah, because now when people say you're so sensitive, I say thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of it. So I would say as a parent, honestly, just like if you don't understand, if you think your child's being sensitive, then it's because you're not understanding them. And so you need to help them. Tell me what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Help me understand, what does it feel like? And just like give them the language, because a little person doesn't know what they're feeling.
No.
And that's why, I used to be a middle school teacher, and I'd always tell my students, you can feel whatever you want, you can't act however you want. It's, the actions, you have to take ownership of your actions. Your emotions, you don't always have control of. So it's okay. If you're pissed at me, be pissed at me. And I think as a parent, you can say that. Are you mad at me?
Right.
You're allowed to be mad at me. That's yours. But you can't hit me. You can't yell. You can't, you know what I mean? So it's like, let's talk about the feeling.
Yeah. Like, there's no such thing as a bad feeling.
Right.
You feel what you feel, but your choices and how you act afterwards, and that part matters.
Right. So it's like, well, what can we do instead to help with this emotion?
Yeah.
And I think that's where somatic therapy really is beneficial, because like a lot of times I think we'll have to say like, oh, deep breathing. Deep breathing does not work if you're angry, because you have to that's a lot of energy. Like I said, emotions are energy. So if you have a lot of pent up anger, breathing's not going to get that out. You have to stomp your feet, or you have to, wiggle or shake, or like you have to do something to get it out. So,
Right.
You could say, oh, do you want to go outside and jump rope? Do you want to like punch a bag or something?
Right.
Like you have to do something to get that out.
You need to find a healthy outlet for that anger.
Yeah.
Like, anger's not a bad thing either, right?
Right.
Like,
In fact, I think anger is really, can have a lot of benefits. I think about like people who are really angry about injustice. Those are people that make a change in the world, because they want people to be validated, So if we know how to handle it, but I think it's like, I think it's really harmful to say like, there's no reason for you to be angry right now. Well, that might be true, but I'm angry.
But I am anyway.
It doesn't matter if it's a good reason. It's there. The energy.
You gotta stop trying to suppress the emotions of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not about suppressing.
It's not about this. It's like, well, I am.
But I am, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, because that's important, especially with this, everything that's going on with me and Heather and kids' moms. Like, that was one of the first things they expressed to me. They're like, I am really mad at my mother for doing this. And I'm like,
yes,
you have every right to be mad. And you know what? I'm a little mad too.
Yeah.
And just by saying that, like, you could just see, like,
it makes it safe.
Like, they were like, okay, it's okay to be mad. Like, because you could tell it was really hard for Lily, my daughter, to explain that. She was like, she was afraid to tell me at first. Like, she's like, I'm mad at mommy.
Because we call it a negative emotion. Right. And it's like, it's just an emotion.
You're allowed to be mad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little mad. Let's talk about
that.
And it's opened up like our communication between, me and the kids right now, just by just giving them that voice, right?
Yes.
That there is no
space.
Bad feeling, that like you feel what you feel. Let's talk about it and work through it, and then how do we move forward?
Yes.
And then what do we do?
Yes.
And I think that sometimes is a bigger question, right? It's like, once we feel it and we talk about it,
then what do we do? Yeah. Because I do think giving space to the emotion, again, like when we try and suppress it, it's going to bubble up and bite us. And if we just give it room to breathe, it's a lot. And I actually just had a really similar experience a few weeks ago. I don't know if you can hear my baby crying, but she was crying.
She's probably not even on it.
I could not settle her a few weeks ago. And when I was trying to settle her, she's 6 months. She can't control what she does. But she grabbed my ears, and I just was going to lose it. And so I had to hand her to my husband. And then I went into the room, and I remember going into a meditation, and I had the thought, I was kind of praying. I was like, I don't want to be frustrated at my baby, because like she's a baby. Yeah. And the thought that came to me immediately was like, but you are.
Right. You are frustrated.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And just like that alone was like, oh yeah, like you said, it's that safety. And when our emotions feel safe, then they can be processed.
It's like reassuring your own self that
Yes.
it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So with your question, like, okay, then what? So my process that I use in my business is kind of like, I think of it as like a little rainbow arc.
Mhm.
And on the one side, it's like emotional distress or dysregulation.
Okay.
And the side that we're trying to get to is soul connection. Because when we're connected to our soul, then that's where we have like the peace, the calm, the surrendering. And so there's kind of 3 steps to get there. The first step is just accepting the emotion, because a lot of times it's right, like I shouldn't be feeling this. This doesn't make sense. This emotion doesn't match the whatever. And so we try and resist it. So the first thing we have to do is just accept. And part of accepting is like identifying that it's there, which we don't always have to like identify it by name, right? We don't have to know that it's anger, because a lot of times we feel so much, it's like, I don't even know what I'm feeling.
And you're allowed to feel multiple emotions at once.
Usually you are.
We have this, I have this book. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe you gave it to us, but I have this children's book that I read with Lily, and it talks about emotions, and then it talks about emotion combinations. It's like, it's okay to feel angry and sad, or happy and, whatever. Like, and so, and then at the back part of the book was combining the 2 words, and then like, what do you think you should do? Like, what do you, like, what are the feelings that you feel? And so I thought that was super cool as a children's book to help them understand at a young age. It's like, it's okay to be mad and happy at the same time.
Totally.
Like, sometimes it doesn't make sense, right? Like, the combination of emotions, and I think especially as we get older, there's more compounding, and we're feeling more and more and more of it, and there's not just one thing that we're feeling.
There usually isn't. And maybe we can like identify the part that's the strongest, and we think, oh, I'm just angry, when there's a lot more under that. Yeah. So
you just kind of help people unravel that kind of
or even just, if you don't know what the emotion is, tell me the sensation.
There you go.
Is your heart buzzing? Is your head tight? Like, what does it feel like? Because we don't need to necessarily know the name of the emotion.
Okay.
And if you can, that's great. But it's like, okay,
it's not necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary. So that part, just accepting that it's there. And then the second tier is really letting yourself feel it, like truly experiencing the emotion. And that's the hardest part. And then the third is the processing, which is the somatic, like, do we need to breathe with it? Do we need to move with it? Do we need to, whatever it might be, to kind of let it actually get into the body and move out of the headspace. And what's interesting is this is the hardest part, because I wish I had like my little model, but when you get to that third piece, which I call the process, or the being part, like just existing with it, the emotion is going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to leave, and then you're done with it. Then you have the soul connection. The emotion's gone, you're back grounded, you're back in your peace. But the tricky part is, or it's going to stay, and then you have to repeat the process. Because, a lot of times people have this experience where it's like, oh, I let myself feel it, and now it's gone. So then we almost like, our brain sees that as a, like, oh, if I let myself feel it, it leaves. But if you're feeling it to make it leave, it won't work. That's the hard part. If you're like, oh, I just need to sit with my anxiety so that my anxiety will go away. It's like, it might not go away.
Okay.
And so that's really, to really be doing this work, you really actually do have to accept, I'm feeling anxious right now. Right. And if you can really let that process in your body go, because emotions, they are always trying to help us. Sometimes they're not effective. And especially as an empath, if you're storing other people's emotions, you don't need them. Like, I don't need to be feeling your anger. It's not going to help me. Okay. And so it might help me understand you. It might help me like work through the process with you. But then when I'm done, I don't need to keep your anger. It's not going to serve me.
It's yours. Yeah.
Right. So that if you're storing others' emotions, if you're going through this process, that emotion will leave. But if I think I say anxiety a lot, because some people have.
It's a big thing.
It's a disorder.
So many people. No, I feel like so many people just don't know what to do with it. They just use it as an excuse or crutch. Like, well, I have anxiety, so it's like, you can work through that.
You can work through it. And again, if you're feeling anxious and you go through this process and it's not leaving, then it's you can still connect to your soul. But then it's okay. Then again, I need to accept and feel and process. And sometimes it's just in a loop. And I know for me, when that happens, like if I'm very, very anxious, I just kind of have to tell myself, okay, I'm taking this with me today. And I kind of like to think of it as a car. Like, I'm in the driver's seat, My anxiety's not going to drive, but it's going to be in the back seat today because it's not getting out of the door for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But it's when we think we can't handle it that it starts to take over. But if we can just say, okay, that's fine. I kind of like to personify, like inside out. I'm like, okay, anxiety, you can come with me today,
Right.
but we're still going to go do our thing. We still have stuff that we need to get
Your
done.
special chair.
Yeah, so have your special chair, your little cup of tea. We've got to move forward.
Yeah.
And usually when we can do that, then the emotion doesn't feel like it has to be. I really actually think Inside Out is a perfect example when it's like we have to be the protector. We have to be doing this when we don't give the power to the emotions, but we also don't try and push them away. We just let them be there.
Yeah.
I
Realize that they're a part of you. That it's, again, everything we have, everything we're feeling is important, and it's a part of who we are. It's, again, just our body. The way I like to think about it, as more of a computer guy, like when I'm working on my computer with my classic, ADHD, OCD, like I've got my OCD is not as bad as yours, but like I've got a million folders and tabs and files and things because like I'll start something and they're like, oh, I'll come back to that and then this and then just with the nature of my business. And so what happens is my computer will get if there's too much going on, it kind of gets overloaded and it starts to overheat.
Yeah.
And eventually I have to shut it down and start over, so that it can reboot. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think of, when we get like that, when we get in our head, when we're feeling all of these things, we're not really sure what we're feeling because we got a million things going on and all this stuff happening. The breath work, the doing it is almost like that reset. It allows your head to cool off and just be like, again, it's all still stored in there. It's part of the computer. It's not like I wiped the whole drive or anything. Totally. It's still doing it, but that one little reset helps the performance of it. And so it's like that's how it makes sense for me, at least in my head, because like I need to reset. I need to control alt delete, and sometimes I need to fully shut the freaking thing down.
Yeah, literally.
and that's how it is. Like, because day to day we're all dealing with stuff. We're all feeling things. We're experiencing things, and a lot of the times it's stuff that is out of our control. Yeah. It's things
Usually
that
it is.
most
things are not in our control.
Right. We have
control of ourselves.
We have very little control over external situations, right? Like the only thing we can control is our reactions. And we can't, I used to say, well, you can control your thoughts. I don't know that we can always even control our thoughts.
I think you can change your thoughts. Like I think, if you're realizing like, oh, the reason I'm feeling, we don't always know the reasons, but it's like, oh, the emotion, if we can connect the thought that it's coming from, because like I said, emotions are created from your thoughts. And so sometimes we have to think, well, okay, is this thought true? Right. Like, because a lot of thoughts are intrusive. We all have intrusive thoughts. Exactly. And usually intrusive thoughts are not true. Right. And so we can't maybe always control our thoughts, but we can shift them. And that can help shift the emotions as well. Like if I'm anxious because I have this thought, if I don't get this done by this time, then I'm a failure. Right. It's like, well, is that true? No, that's not true. So, and sometimes we can just kind of alter the thought, and that will usually alter the emotion. Right. But again, the emotion that came from the initial thought is still there. Right. It's still in the body. And so we have to be able to.
Oh, it does. It makes so much sense. Like it's all connected. It's just.
Yeah. And you mentioned like, oh, just lift weights. Like that works. Sure. That's like, like you can move your body in any way, but the yoga does allow like all the pieces to be connected. The mind, the body, the spirit are all kind of like a part of it, which I love. So
I agree. Again, as a non-believer in yoga for years, and overly sensitive sister, this has just been life-changing. And it's, it's one of those things because of the trauma and all the stuff that we've experienced, it sometimes forces you to look inward and to figure it out because, the trauma is no joke. And then, so for anyone that's experiencing something hard, like give this a shot, try the breath work, try the yoga. I know you've got a website and you have an online course as well, right?
I do have an online course. I'm really excited about my online course, honestly. I'm super proud of it because
tell us about it.
Well, for a long time, when I started my business, I started my business in 2023, officially. And it is such a personalized work that when I started, I'm like, I don't know if I could ever, release this to the masses
Right.
because it is
It's
so
not a
like, tell me your
one-size-fits-all.
emotions. Yeah. And then I really curate it. But what was really cool about, the more clients I got, I think at this point I've worked with like over 30 people for, usually people stay with me for about a year.
Okay.
So, I've worked with, you know, around 30 people for up to a year. And what I found is there's a lot of overlap into the way that people are experiencing their emotions, a lot of overlap to the thoughts that people have. And so not only was I like, oh, I could create something that kind of helps everyone, but also what I started realizing working with one-on-one is, oh, I would love to connect this client with this client, or I would love this person to be able to chat with this because there's a lot of similarities. And it's not just for empaths, it's for anyone that's experiencing.
No, I'm not an empath.
Yeah. It's for anyone that's like experiencing a lot of emotions that they don't know what to do. And so
we all have that, like just humans. That's we all have emotions that we don't understand. Like, that's normal.
So I was super excited because I'm like, oh, I totally could have a course that would help anybody. So my course, it's like self-paced, and there's 3 sections to it. There's like kind of what I call the daily maintenance section, which is just tools for connecting to your soul. And so that could be like an inner light meditation, what I call an I am meditation, like really understanding who we are at our core. Different breath work, which again is breath work in Sanskrit is called pranayama, which is literally like life, like how you're, I'm forgetting the exact term, but it's accessing life.
Okay.
And so
living life.
Yeah, like your breath is your way of living.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those automatic responses that we just, again, we're not telling ourselves to breathe in and breathe out all day. It just happens. But when you do focus specifically on the breathing in, the breathing out.
Yeah. And there's different types of breath work. Like there's different ways when you retain your breath versus like how long you're exhaling, how long you're inhaling. It does different things to the chemistry of the brain. So there's breath work that can create more energy. There's breath work that can ground you. There's breath work that can, kind of stoke a fire and bring like some extra emotion to release, like to kind of pump it out. Like there's different things you can do with your breath work. So I have breath work, that's kind of for connecting back to the soul, for grounding. And then the kind of meat of the course is I have basically a section for every single emotion. So if you're feeling anxious, you can go to the anxiety part, and there's breath work for anxiety. There's yoga for anxiety. There's a meditation for anxiety. And then there's, same thing for anger, for loneliness, for...
That's really smart.
All these different emotions.
Because if you look like you said, there's lots of emotions, obviously, but you can categorize them, and everyone's going to be feeling some form of those. And so that's really cool. That's a really smart way to look at it.
The other part is if you're kind of new to this and you're like, I don't really know what emotion I'm feeling, but I can tell you I have a sore neck all the time. There's a section where you can go to neck. And it'll tell you
either an emotion or a physical part of the body that hurts or something.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you can do the asana or the yoga for that, as well as kind of a guidance that says, if you are having a sore neck, here's some emotions associated, and then go there and then work at it from that angle.
Smart. Okay, that's a really, you really thought about this.
It's helped a lot of people. Impressive. And then there's also a community aspect to it, that if you want to kind of connect with other people on the course, I meet with a group every other week.
Okay.
And we kind of do an in-person meditation.
Is it virtual still? Or?
It's virtual.
Virtual.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's my favorite. It's so good to have like all these people on. We'll talk about like insights you got from the course. We'll do kind of what I do in my one-on-ones, but just in a group setting. And people can share the insights they got from the course, or say, this thing really helped me. And there's also like emotions on it for like joy. That's something we don't process a lot, because we're like, we think joy is neutral, right? Yeah. But joy is not neutral. Joy is an emotion. That's been a game changer for me too, is really like letting myself process joy.
Yeah.
And really like recognize what joy feels like in my body. Because if you do that, you'll realize, like you said, with that little kid's book, that, sometimes we're angry and happy. If we really can understand joy, people realize we actually have pleasant emotions more often than we think.
Sure.
Because we kind of just call attention to when we're feeling yucky.
I love that you said that because I don't know that I've ever consciously, again, mine is all trauma based, so I've been still processing all the shitty shitty emotions.
The ones
emotions
I call them unpleasant.
Yeah,
Pleasant and unpleasant.
The ones I didn't want to feel.
Yeah.
Felt regardless. But joy, you're right. Like, I don't know that I've consciously done that. Like, when I'm happy, I kind of just like, you're just happy, right?
It's the crappy emotion.
Yeah, you're just sitting there and you're like, life's good. But actually going through that same step, I'm going to try that.
It's so
I've
helpful.
Literally never done that.
Because it's made us such a big difference that when I am really sad or when I'm angry, I can also recognize like how grateful, how blessed I am. Like, because I recognize that emotion is there too. I have that on my course as well. Like, have you processed your joy lately?
Yeah.
Have you gone through this? Have you and especially because this course is basically accessible, it's for a year, you pay for a year. And a lot of times when you're going through it regularly, you kind of have because I encourage people to go on the course at least once a day.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you'll go on and you'll be like, I feel really good. It's like, well, process that. Sit with it. Yeah. Let yourself really enjoy a day where you're like, I actually just feel really good.
That's so cool. Because I think that's probably the emotion that gets dismissed the most, at least for me.
Totally.
Like, I know, if I'm happy, but I'm like, all right, back to work. But no, let yourself feel happy for a minute and process that. And I do like the course because I like self-paced type stuff. And I know everyone's a little bit different, but at least for me in my busy lifestyle, that I like to be able to pop in and pop out as needed. So I love that you have that option, but you also have how often does your group meet?
Every other week. And that's another reason I do it is for accountability. Because that's some of the feedback I got. It's like, well, I can't, if I don't have a set time to do it. So the every other week is an accountability piece to come and say, okay, and I'll I sometimes will be like, do this on the course this week, or here's something that you can try just to, keep it in your toolbox to keep access to it.
We all know we have to eat right and exercise. And, typically you have to set time aside to make sure you're doing those, or at least prepare and plan enough in advance. But I feel like too many of us are missing that third one, which is
the soul.
The soul. That's probably the most important one that we need to work on. And this is such a great way to do it. And again, you're so passionate about it, and you're really good at it, Raya. I know I'm a little biased as your brother, but honestly, I tell it how it is at the same time too. I got no problem calling people out, but it is a talent but you can tell that you have consciously spent time working on it because it's what worked for you.
Totally.
And I say this in a lot of, this is what's so fun about this stuff, because there's always a business correlation as well. In business, I think about the type of stuff I do, helping first-time home buyers, and, which has nothing to do with any of this, but I like to help the person that I once was, right? I was once a lost person. I knew I needed to buy a house, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have any guidance, and I didn't have the best of experiences, but it worked out, and I kind of figured it out. And then I figured out things that worked even better, that made me more money through real estate. And so these were all things that I was like, I figured this out for me. Yeah. And I screwed up a ton. Now let me help other people figure it out, because I've got all this knowledge, and in turn, it fills our cups at the same time, because we're helping that version of ourselves that there wasn't anyone to really help us, or maybe there was, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone that kind of helped you get to this point, or was it just mostly through self-discovery and then meeting people along the way?
I think a little of both. Like I said, I think going to that yoga class and then really kind of talking to other, getting into the, we've westernized yoga so much. And it's a lot of times if you go to studio, it's just kind of like exercise.
That's how I always thought of it. I'm like, it's just another exercise. I don't have to lift weights. Yeah.
It's got this huge spiritual component. And it can be a great workout, but
energy, right? For those that are, because, sometimes the word spiritual throws people off, and I'm like, oh, it's energy spiritual. You have a soul, you have an energy, you have absolutely.
And that's kind of the language I use, is I kind of tell people connect to your divine source. Yes. And that could be, if you believe in God, it could be God. It could be the universe. It could be, and for a lot of people that have no belief, which is totally fine. Yeah. I say your higher self, because our soul is, right, it's this ongoing eternal thing that we're discovering. Yeah. And so if your divine source is just thinking of your higher self that's kind of figured this out, or even connecting to your younger self, that's a really powerful tool
Exactly.
that can help. But yeah, there's a lot of like divinity or, just like something beyond your body.
It's fascinating. So in that same
Yeah.
book I was telling you about, the psychocybernetics, one of the exercises that they recommend you try, and I did it, was you close your eyes, and they recommend 30 minutes, which I've never been able to do the full 30.
Yeah.
But
It's a long time.
sit and close your eyes for 30 minutes and really like almost fantasize and visualize the future successful you, whatever that
Totally.
looks like. And that's it's different for everybody, right? But
Mhm.
if you can sit and really tap into that, be like, who do I want to be? What do I want? What is my greatest
Mhm.
potential? And really see yourself doing it, living a day in that life of
Yeah.
what that looks like. And if you can practice that once a day, as long as you can handle it, like that for me has helped so much, because it's like, now I know what I'm striving for. I have a goal, and I feel like the yoga really helps kind of get you into that state a little bit faster.
Totally. It gets you into the body.
Moving the body, and like, because I'm not a sit and meditate type of guy. I need to move, and so that the connection of all of those really just made sense for me. For, again, first time in my life. I'm 40 years old, but I can honestly say massively helpful, like for my mental health, my well-being, and honestly, it's unlocked a lot of business things for me that made me money. Like it's a lot of different things, because that's where my mind is headed. Money is, it's not, it's a tool that we have in life, but you need to have it in order to get certain things. And so like it's helped me unlock even things like that. Ideas have been coming to me that I've never had before. And I do feel it is because I'm finally starting to, I don't pretend to know any of this, but I'm starting to get a better idea of my soul and my connection and my purpose.
I truly believe we're just learning our souls. Like, I think we come to this earth with, it's like,
it gave us this body, and it's like, man, figure it out.
And I think sometimes we're like, oh, I learned this. We say that I learned about myself. It's like, because it was already there. And one thing I just want to point out, I think is so cool about all this that you're saying. You're talking about how huge this has been, how important it's been for your business, for your well-being, and this is in the midst of like the biggest crisis of your life. And then that's actually
tough things have happened to me this year in my family.
And how amazing that, like, in that's when you're finding true peace. And I've seen that with so many of my clients, Brayden. Like, so many of my clients are like, okay, since working with you, I, had this mental health crisis, or, kind of left my faith, or I had this, like, people ending up in the hospital, miscarriages, like these big things will happen. And they're like, I've never felt more peace in my life.
If there was ever a time in my life to just, give it all up, right? It's like, I've got every excuse in the world. I have an alcoholic wife who suffered a brain injury that my kids had to witness, was in a coma for 5 days. My truck was stolen shortly after that. All of these things. But like, I am so grateful now for, honestly, these things, because of how it's been able to help me unlock a version of myself that I don't even want to say didn't know existed. The word I like to use is remember.
Yes.
I'm remembering who I really am and what I'm capable of.
Yeah, which is so empowering.
It's so cool.
It's so empowering to just be like, oh yeah, this is me. And it's
just
like,
to be unapologetically yourself. Like, I've always tried to be like, oh, I don't know why I'm like this, try to do this. I'm like, I don't care. Like,
and it feels familiar, right? Because it's who you are. It's like, it's not like you just added an external piece of your personality. It's like, no, this is familiar because I'm sinking into who I am. Yeah, it's very empowering.
It's empowering. It's beautiful. So, man, so just last little plug. We're going to get all your information up on here, but Honeybee Yoga with one E. Honeybee. So you can sit. Self-paced, you got no excuses, guys. Buy her course. It will change your life no matter what you believe. I'm telling you, this works regardless of your belief system. If you're, again, believe in God, if you're atheist, like
I've worked with like the most religious people and atheists. And
we all have a body, a mind, and a soul, regardless of what you believe. And these things work. So you've got the self-paced, you've got the group, you've got something for everybody, which is so cool.
I remember I worked with someone that in a consult, she's like, I'm an atheist, is that okay? I'm like, yeah, totally. And she had great success. So
I think atheists are some of the coolest people. Again, 5 years ago, that was me. Like, I really just, I was like, that doesn't make sense to me, because at that time in my life it
Right.
didn't. I was like, there's no God.
Yeah.
But that's another cool thing about life. As you go through it and you experience things, you have to be open to change, right? To be
Yeah.
like, maybe I don't know all of it.
Maybe I was wrong.
Well, it's growth, right? It's learning. It's
Totally.
I never pretend to know anything, right?
Yeah.
Like I even say that in half my videos. I'm like, sure, I know a decent amount about this stuff. I can show you how to buy a house, little to no money down. I can get you into real estate investing. I don't pretend to be an expert. I just know what's worked for me.
Yeah. Yoga helps you let go of your ego a lot, so it helps you be open to that stuff.
That's a huge one.
Yeah, it really helps you drop the ego.
So, Mariah, I know we got a big day planned. Thank you for your time today and for bringing your sweet daughter, my beautiful niece.
Yeah, she's the best.
She is incredible. But this has been so great. So.
Yeah, thanks, Brayden.
Thank you.